Look at us, teaming up twice in one day.
Makes you think, huh?
About what?
Germany.
What do you mean?
We were working together, training together, and other stuffing together.
If I'd asked you, would you have come?
I guess we'll never know. But I do know one thing.
What?
If I had, you'd have never been caught.
Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp was a nice break from the soul-shattering ending of Avengers: Infinity War. The action comedy carried heavy themes of a father-daughter relationship while telling a down-to-earth, grounded story. Well, as grounded of a story as you can tell about people who grow, shrink, phase through walls, and enter the teeny, tiny quantum realm. With the home release comes quite a few special features, and we picked out the most interesting and insightful moments from director Peyton Reed's commentary. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more TV show breakdowns, movie reviews, and comic book deep dives. Speaking of Marvel characters, be sure to check out our history of Spider-Man movies on the channel right now. Number 1. Wasp in the original film was made to look like Michelle Pfeiffer. Flashback to the first film when Hank is telling Hope and Scott how he lost his wife, Janet Van Dyne. We see a quick shot of the original Wasp and Ant-Man trying to disarm an ICBM. We only get to see a quick shot of her eyes through the mask, but Reed wanted her to look like Michelle Pfeiffer. What's crazy about all of this is they didn't even know there would be a sequel yet, let alone that Pfeiffer would join in. It was just Reed's dream to cast her from the get-go. Apparently, they actually updated the visual effects when they revisit this flashback at the start of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 2. Pym Labs was a huge set. The Quantum Tunnel set was designed by Shepard Frankel, and surprisingly, it was the largest physical set that has ever been built for a Marvel movie. Reed said the inspiration for this set came from the Irwin Allen TV series The Time Tunnel. Number 3. How Ghost was chosen for the movie. According to Reed, it was the comic book villain's design that first drew him to making Ghost the main antagonist of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Reed actually looked in these giant Marvel Comics encyclopedias that had every hero, villain, and side character you could imagine, and he landed on Ghost for the design elements and the phasing capabilities. He knew that Ghost would be an extremely formidable challenge for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Call off the ants, Scott.
Oh boy.
Number 4. Now, obviously in the comics, Ghost is a man, but they decided on a gender swap for the film, namely because of the strong themes of fathers and daughters throughout the story, including Hank and Hope, as well as Scott and Cassie.
Don't laugh. I'd be a great partner.
Oh, Peanut. Oh, you would be awesome.
And in the film, it's Bill Foster that serves as the father figure for Ava Starr. Number 5. Speaking of Bill Foster, Reed was a huge fan of the Black Goliath comics as a child. He owned literally all of them. And he wanted to include the character so that Hank Pym had a strong adversary to go up against. Landing Lawrence Fishburne for the role made it extra special. Number 6. Reed also acknowledged that Ghost's father is in the comics, Elias Starr, who was the supervillain named Egghead. Ultimately, they chose against using him as a villain, but wanted to give a nod to Marvel Comics fans.
I doubt Hank has ever mentioned my father. Why would he? Elias Starr. They were colleagues at S.H.I.E.L.D. Quantum research. Until my father dared disagree with the great Hank Pym.
Number 7. During downtimes on set, Fishburne read a bunch of graphic novels, many of which Reed had never even heard of. Apparently, Fishburne is extremely well-versed in the comic book world and all things Marvel and DC. Number 8. Reed says they paid extra care to the young versions of Fishburne, Pfeiffer, and Douglas when it came to the digital de-aging, as they are 3 extremely recognizable faces in Hollywood. In fact, Fishburne's son Langston was the stand-in for his father during those younger scenes before they altered his face. Number 9. Ghost's house was to give the movie a horror vibe. Reed wanted to include a horror element to the movie, and Ghost's home was the perfect location. It's actually a concrete modernist building in Noonan, Georgia. Reed said that this scene is their movie's version of a haunted house in the middle of the woods. And if you listen closely, they even added a wolf howl to the scene to add more of a supernatural feel to it. Number 10. When it came to Cassie's teacher, Reed wanted to pay homage to a former teacher of his own. Mrs. Broadwell was actually Reed's 8th and 9th grade English teacher. Number 11. Making sure Hank Pym isn't just another Tony Stark. Both Pym and Stark are genius inventors. but Reed mentioned during the commentary that he wanted to separate the two. Many times Pym, mainly out of necessity, has to cannibalize his own tech to create something new, while Stark would just get new materials. It's clear the two operate very differently. Number 12. One of Reed's biggest concerns was the movie's running time. He wanted to keep the movie under 2 hours for a couple of reasons. First, this would be the follow-up to the epic Infinity War. And second, this is an action comedy, and he didn't want it to overstay its welcome.
We think when you were down there, you may have entangled with her.
Hank, I would never do that. I respect you too much.
Quantum entanglement, Scott.
He spent quite a bit of time tightening up the film in post-production. Number 13. How about that Stan Lee cameo? Well, it was actually the very first thing that Reed shot on Ant-Man and the Wasp. According to Reed, it was his good luck charm. Lee tried a handful of different lines before settling on this one.
Well, the 60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it.
Sure, it was a very San Francisco-specific joke, but they actually filmed this scene in Georgia. Number 14. The ultimate happy ending. Until it's not. Reed wanted viewers to have some sense of the aftermath of Infinity War, but on a micro level, not just focusing on everyone on Earth. But before he could get to that, he wanted this film to have everything resolved and wrapped up. It all serves to relax the audience into a false sense of security before the bombshell is dropped. Number 15. After the nice tidy ending, Reed wanted to give the audience an idea of what's coming next in their lives. Spoiler, it's not good. He said they wanted to build some misleads for the audience. Everyone but Scott turning into dust is a shocking moment, and that's the exact point he wanted to drive home.
Guys! Okay, seriously, don't joke around. Bring me up, let's go! Guys!
So what was your favorite moment from the movie? Let us know. Also, we know Ant-Man will return in Avengers 4, but we're not so sure how. Hit us up in the comments with your predictions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, Scott. You think you can stop daydreaming about my daughter long enough to get my lab?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.